Next, Mr. Camacho, go ahead, sir.
Jose Camacho, friend of Smith Cove, Rock the Block. In 1972, the Supreme Court ruled that vagrancy law, as an entire body of centuries-old law, was just outright wrong, and he essentially said it was un-American. The term vagrant isn't even used. It took Bremerton to resurrect a dead word and an unconstitutional concept, and it is interspersed throughout the PROS plan. Mr. Barker didn't apologize or retract the plan, which is what I asked when I pointed out the wrongfulness of that word vagrant being used in the PROS plan. That's why he's removing it. So good for him. It's a little bit late because the survey had the leading question to the public. If you say the parks are this or that, is it because of the vagrant issues? So this is a leading question. It essentially teaches and indoctrinates the public to look at homelessness as inherently a problem of criminality. And it was my fear that the culture in the city and the parks was exactly that, because Mockler had proposed hosing the homeless. And I was shocked, and I identified myself as one. I've slept in parks. So that was my fear. I asked, can you stop the clock and reconsider whether this is a thing? And the PROS plan indicates that it is a thing. The parks are the primary public space for people to simply be. There is no other example of a pure sanctuary for urban people. So now when the homeless go there, including with their advocates and communities, just to have a break and celebrate or relax, to sleep, to relax, sit down, whatever, now they're targets. The city has an unconstitutional targeting regime that is called the anti-camping ordinance. I've seen the videos. It's unconstitutional. You won't let people be. You treat the poor very distinctly from regular people. We've seen it. Jocelyn's testified about it for years. So now in the place of sanctuary, of peace, meditation, you guys are okay with having the public drop the dime and target any person who looks poor. It's a disgrace. And Mr. Barker and you guys should have no problem saying, my bad, we're sorry, we're going to retract this, we're going to start over. You have yet to censure Mockler for her disgraceful comment. And she's a human being, and we all F up. But that was a milestone in depravity for an elected official. It's not impartial. That targets the poor. The PROS plan should be withdrawn. You should not vote on it.
And I know the word vagrant wasn't, the people who wrote the survey and wrote the PROS plan weren't aware of how offensive that word is. And so luckily we now have a diversity and equity manager on staff who I spoke with her earlier today, and each time some sort of survey is brought up to the council for approval for it to be sent out, I'm going to ask that she review it for language that is offensive to other people. It wasn't meant to be that way, and I'm sorry that it was previously included, and Director Barker was in full agreement that he could remove the reference. Now, we can't start the process all over again.
Why not?
Because we don't have the money to do that, and we need to have the plan in place in order to try to get grants for improvements to our park system.
No worries, point of order. So are we done, Councilmember?
They are all completely evicted now, and all their stuff is piled on the street. And there's another house that I think we're making progress on. So we're getting there. It's just, as you guys know, it's very slow.
Yeah. All right, thank you. And then we'll, let's see, I guess we're ready to move on to the council items. And I'm going to turn it over to Vice Chair Anna Mockler.
I took a really big bite of sandwich, so I
Ah,
couldn't respond immediately. I'm sorry. I hadn't realized you'd get to me so quickly.
it's okay.
Sorry.
Don't rush. We don't need you to choke. At
No,
least we sort of know where you are. You're in a mysterious marina somewhere. If we need to send help.
I am in a harbor in Maine. Yes. Okay. So, one of the things that's been happening is, at least reportedly, the Bremerton Police Department, when all other options are not available, have been referring homeless people, houseless people to our city parks. That means that other people can't or won't use the city parks. So I've proposed this to Director Tim Barker, and I'm now pitching it to you, which is we can post signs saying to conserve water, we're going to water the parks at night whenever use is lowest. And I think that that actually would save water. And it would also be a deterrent. And I'm tossing that over to you guys to see what you think of it.
Well, currently it's against the law to be in the parks after dark, and we can enforce that. And we do when we have resources. As far as referring people to the park, for the most part, we don't refer them anywhere. We just tell them where they cannot be. And they always say, well, where can I be? And our response is usually, well, that's not up to us to tell you where to go. We're just telling you you can't be here. And the people that we're telling that to have been offered services multiple times. And so now they put themselves squarely in the criminal vagrant role, not a homeless person that is downtrodden. So we are slowly tightening down on that more and more. I think you're starting to see the relief downtown. It's not as bad. Believe me, it was way worse. At one point, you're seeing the hangover from our tent city that we had, but we're actually making a lot of progress down there. And Common Street, again, has been an absolute godsend for us, and I think for Public Works also, and the fire department. So they're continuing to just move people along and get them help that other people have thrown their hands up and said, oh, we can't help them, and they're actually getting them resources. So that is the circle we chase. So I think we're making more progress than not in those respects.
Anna, can I ask a kind of clarifying question? Is there can you be a little, you might have said it in your opening, but can you be more specific about where sort of transient folks are being a problem at the parks? Not where, I guess I'm saying when is maybe my question. Is it like in the morning, they're kind of still, maybe they've been there all night, or is it during because obviously if it's noon, watering at night isn't really a thing. And
I mean, this is just to discourage encampments, because I am hearing that the word on the street is that you can go camp in a park. And I take Chief Wolfe's point, which I thought was really well made, which is these are not people who need to be connected to services. They are people who have rejected services over and over, which is, different. Is that answering your question, Michael?
Yeah, yes, but I guess my thought is that I would be surprised to learn that we water our parks during open hours. So
Well, we water our parks during open hours.
we do.
Yes.
Is that just so that there's staff on hand in case something goes amiss?
I don't know why it is.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
like
I
really watering at 4 o'clock in the morning at this time of year would be the most conservative way to do it.
yeah.
But yeah,
Um, so I don't know what
Michael?
resolution.
Mike-
Denise, do you have anything to say on this?
I'll wait.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, I know we're all really waiting anxiously for the new shelter to open, and I believe it will. Just not soon enough for us. But I'm wondering also if that's going to provide any relief for this. Maybe, maybe not, if these are the folks that are just not engaging at all in any services, because of course the new shelter won't really be appropriate for that either. But I'm wondering, I'm not one to usually punt on to later, but I'm wondering if we should keep this on our radar and just see if anything's changed once the shelter opens. I'm also, I apologize, I'm not aware of the problem, so, but maybe that's because I don't have enough parks in my district. But I haven't seen the emails or anything that, with complaints about, our houseless in parks, so I'm not familiar with the hours or anything like that, but.
well, I thank you for the bait of number of parks in a person's district, but I'm not picking it up. I am, the park that we have in District 6, Lulu Haddon, is already attracting homeless people and encampments. And I've already got people saying they don't want to take their kids there. They don't want to be walking there. And we just had the grand opening, a few weeks ago. It's the only, it's all we have.
Yeah.
Well, apart from that little pocket park right near Julie Cooper, right on the water with the little.
What did Director Barker say about the watering? Is that an easy change that they could make?
Well, I don't know. He hasn't answered my first 2 emails, Denise.
Oh.
Okay. So I'm just we're gonna wrap up this topic. It's not our business to tell the parks how to manage the parks. And if parks are coming to us looking for help, that's one thing. So let's see, maybe if you get some more information from Director Barker. I'm not one to, as a set of policy where we turn the hose on people. So yeah. So I like Denise just said, I'm not exactly seeing the problem. I know there are transient folks in parks and things like that. They are allowed to be there during day hours. Camping is not allowed. And then how do you define camping? Is camping a shopping cart and a pile of stuff? Or do you have to set a tent and build a fire to be a camper, right? But anyways,
Having said that, does any member of the public wish to comment on any of the consent agenda items?
Jose Camacho, Rock the Block, Friends of Smith Cove. Thank you. You remind me every time. I appreciate it. Jose Camacho, Friends of Smith Cove, Rock the Block. This is regarding consent agenda 4D and 4E, appointments to the Parks and Recreation Committee or Commission. And as a homeless person or a formerly homeless person who has slept in the park, who has seen the sprinklers turn on, I was very disturbed. And I want you to consider not appointing these people to the Parks and Recreation Commission until we are sure policies are in place to prevent what unfortunately Councilmember Mockler was suggesting in a Public Safety Committee meeting on 8-7-25, in which she suggested using deceit as a proposed strategy to harass the homeless. can't we just convince the park to turn on the sprinklers so that the homeless don't settle into the park overnight? I was quite appalled by that. And even, well, more appalling or equally appalling is that this was actually discussed for 8 to 10 minutes by everyone else on the Public Safety Committee, as if this wasn't a stop the world kind of comment. This was really a horrible moment for me. As I said, I've slept in parks. I guess I'm a criminal. I've seen the sprinklers come on. She was suggesting that we could convince the public that turning on the sprinklers at night would be a matter of conserving water. And she wasn't exactly shot down. Tom Wolfe was there, Goodnow, Denise Frey. This was actually discussed. To councilmembers Goodnow, at the very end, he said something like, I don't think we should actually be hosing people down. So this is quite appalling. So because no one stopped this when it started, I think perhaps this is part of the culture. Clearly the city is persecuting the homeless. But for it to reach the level of council members who speak about this in public in a committee called Public Safety, this is really a horrible thing that I witnessed as someone who has slept on the street and slept in the parks, slept in Bremerton's Park. I've seen the sprinklers turn on. And I thought it was just for maintenance. So if it's not, the public should know about it. Please, stop the clock. Have some soul searching happen, please.
My far right with District 6 Council Member Anna Mockler. Councilmember Mockler.
So before I go on to my full council report, the parks are watered with the sprinklers. It's not a deterrent thing. It was a dumb idea of mine to propose doing it at night. And I'd really, really like to exonerate Councilor Goodnow and Councilor Fry, who pretty much sat on me and very quietly and politely said, this is a dumb idea. It was my dumb idea. What can I say? I have them. I would also like to mention that I have been proposing to this council a number of policies of relief for the homeless community in Bremerton. I have been working with Common Street and attempting to work with Northwest Hospitality and not Doc Love the Kids, God's Broken Home, to create a day tent where people could gather in a dignified way during the day when shelters are often closed, where there would be benches and heat and porta-sands and hand wash and service providers and garbage cans. Just not a palace in any way, but a place where people could be. Not only would this benefit all homeless people directly, it would benefit them over the long term because service providers say, hey, I think I can hook you up with something, let me get back to you in a couple of days. Well, if people aren't there, you can't find them to connect with them. So a day tent would just really make sense. So I've been proposing that to this council off and on since last September. I'm not going to go on and on about all of the things I've done, but I'm happy to talk to anybody about them. I'm going to move on to my council report at this time.